Tonight on Nova, Richard Wheeler is a man obsessed. His passion, the auk, a flightless seabird which became extinct 100 years ago. Scientists know exactly when the last auk died, but questions remain. Are these modern-day cousins of the auk also in danger? Wheeler took to the sea in a one-man kayak, an amazing journey following the haunted cry of a long-gone bird.
Funding for NOVA is provided by
Merck, dedicated to pharmaceutical research, committed to discovery, improving health, extending life. Merck.
And Lockheed, America's aerospace company, supporting math, science, and engineering education for national technology leadership. Major funding for NOVA is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by annual financial support from viewers like you.
I'd have to admit it is a pretty off-the-wall thing to do for a 60-year-old geezer to get in a small boat and to try to recreate the migration route of an extinct bird. But there really was something in the nature of a quest that made it almost necessary for me to do it. In the beginning, I had a simple urge, really.
Where is that little funny dog?
I'd retired from my career as a teacher and museum administrator and wanted to get in touch with the outdoors again, while I still had my health and energy. So I started dreaming about a long coastal voyage by kayak. Years earlier, my readings in natural history led me to a book that changed me forever. It was about an extinct bird called the great auk. The great auks were extraordinary paddlers and swimmers, but couldn't fly. When they were attacked by feather hunters in the late 1700s, they didn't last long. After millions were killed, they became a rare prize. On June 3rd, 1844, 2 museum collectors strangled the last pair and stepped on the last egg. They had become too valuable to be allowed to live. Even if they hadn't been exterminated, I wondered how they would fare today in a world that has changed so much just in my lifetime. Suddenly it all came together. I would paddle my kayak along the coastal migration route of the great auk, trying to understand what it would be like to be one today, and sharing the auk story with anyone who would listen. That's how it all started. Sometimes the pursuit of a dream can call you to a strange, unsettled place, looking for life where you'd least expect to find it. My journey began on an isolated and windswept rock 30 miles off the north coast of Newfoundland. Funk Island. Local fishermen who brought us here call it a terrible, wonderful place. Some say it's haunted, but a few bird scientists like my friend Bill Montevecchi know this rock well. This was the center of the great auk's world, the place where most of them once gathered to breed before paddling south for the winter. It's still home to one of their closest surviving relatives, a bird only a third the size, called the common murre. Like the auk 300 years ago, these seabirds live most of their lives far from land. For a month during the short northern summer, most of the northwest Atlantic population of common murres meet and breed on this one rock. This is their only chance to lay an egg in a relatively safe place and keep it warm enough to hatch. There has always been a rich supply of small fish in the waters around Funk Island. Special skills are needed to go after them. The Murs are like fish with feathers, able to plunge and pursue at amazing speeds. Great auks were even more skilled because they sacrificed the ability to fly to be superb divers. Sardine-sized capelin are the main seafood meal for the birds to bring home. Chicks are fed on the rock by their parents until they are just mature enough to live out on the open sea, which is exactly where I'm headed in my first leg of recreating the auks migration.
Maybe you guys can hand me these after we get in.
I can tell that the fishermen don't have much faith in my kayak, even though they know I have a lot of paddling experience. It's a coastal boat at best, and what I have ahead today is 30 miles of open sea.
No, just hang on to the...
The crew that brought me here on the Lee Darrell is led by Skipper Bill Sturge, an expert fisherman.
You just keep giving me slack until I
right.
can get in.
What do you want?
I need something to hang on to. Can you give me a line so I can hold on?
I am not so sure that he understands why a 60-year-old grandfather wants to do this. He seems worried about the weather, too, but I trust him to shepherd me across this first difficult stretch to the mainland.
You know, if the wind picks up too much, we'll, we may have to call it off. But yeah, you'll be able to see me. I'll be able to indicate to you if it's getting in over my head. Buzzards Bay can't be very far from here.
that way, Dick.
About now, I'm beginning to question whether this is such a good idea.
No wonder they're extinct.
But somehow I feel that the long-gone bird has a message for me, and it will only become clear by completely recreating its
I
journey.
don't have a compass. My compass broke off, so you're my compass, Bill.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The water was lumpy, to say the least. And as soon as I got out into the place where I could face the southwest wind, it was sort of, oh my God. And yet it was doable. I invested a lot of energy and muscle into the first 3 or 4 hours. And lo and behold, the wind did freshen up after I had about another 12, maybe 12 miles. And that was really tough slogging. So the waves seemed to tower over me, and the Lee Darrell was having not an easy time of it.
I love small boats. The kayak is the most intimate vessel in its relationship with the water that I have ever been in. So it's a beautiful craft to carry out this kind of symbolic recreation of what the great auk did.
The upshot of the day was that I had the paddle of my life, and I think I would have to say it was harder than anything else I've ever done by far. And of course, the difficulties and the pain were exacerbated by the fact that I'm 60 years old, and by the fact that I wasn't able to do all of the training that I'd hoped to do. As it was, it took me between 16 and 17 hours. I don't believe in ghosts, and yet I do have the feeling that people and animals can somehow communicate with those who are living.